the X Fractor and the Logo Fractor, and you have all these in PSA 10s, and let's say you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on all of these cards, and you're like, well, my collection is worth, because I spent $15,000, my collection is worth at least $15,000, and that's wrong. It's down to time. Like, how much time do you have to sell your collection? How much time? If you have 10 years to sell your collection, then I would sell it off piece by piece, because you're going to get the most value by doing that. If you don't have any time, then I think that you have to go. If you're selling your cards, it's about time. If you're buying cards, it's about discipline. Those are the two factors in the hobby. If you do that, you won't get screwed. One of the great things about my audience is that I get really great comments and questions from time to time. So I'm going to put that comment up here. I'm going to read it with you and we'll go over it together. So this is from For Pete's Sake 20. I'm curious about your opinion or strategy on selling collections. Is there ever a level that a collection can achieve that actually adds value? Is it always best to break up the collection? I built what I would consider solid Pete Alonso rookie card collection that I'm not sure how to deal with at this point. All right, well, that's a really great question. And I think for the audience that we have here, that's a perfect question for us to really consider. So what I want to do is actually explain sort of the complication with selling collections and figuring out what the actual value is. Of course, you can just add up your cards. Like if you have 100 cards, 1,000 cards, you could just like look up what the value is and just add them up and go, well, that's what it's worth, right? I mean, you know how to do that. You know how to evaluate your cards. You know how to comp them. The problem is that whatever it's comped at doesn't actually mean what you can get in cash back. That's one of the reasons why I'm using Veriswap, because I think that I can get more value back for my cards in a trade. Like I think I can get more one-to-one in a trade, although that hasn't been the case. I've been on Veriswap for a couple weeks, and so far the trades that I've proposed have all been rejected, and the trades that I'm receiving I've rejected. So there seems to be a disconnect on what value means to everyone, and maybe that's where this question comes into play. The fact that you have a Pete Alonso collection is great. But what I think that everybody needs to be aware of or thinking about is that whatever you collect is personal to you. And just because you put value on these cards doesn't mean someone else is going to. And actually, I did get a great comment from someone on the Deal or No Deal video that I put out a couple days ago, in the fact that they were saying, well, you're offering baseball, football, and basketball for basketball cards, and so if somebody's collecting basketball, why would they want baseball and football? And that's a very good point, and I didn't even think about that when I offered the trade. I was just looking at dollar for dollar, but you're correct. When we're dealing with cards and we're dealing with trades, you have to take into consideration what the other person is looking for. And if they're a football collector, they're not going to want baseball cards. And most of my PC is baseball heavy. So now I'm starting to go, okay, how am I actually going to diversify into football and basketball cards when most of the cards that I have happen to be baseball? And this is the question that you have to ask yourself, for Pete's sake, because you have a Pete Alonso collection. Well, the only people that are really going to be interested in a Pete Alonso collection happen to be other Mets fans or Pete Alonso fans. And the question becomes, are they going to need all of the cards that you have bought? The answer is probably no. They're probably going to have more cards like those than you realize. And so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some of the Pete Alonso cards that I have. I'm guaranteed that these are not like your top end cards. Like these are not top end cards. And I'm just going to use these as an example. I'm just going to show you a few. So this is a Heritage. Okay, this is a Topps Chrome. Here's a Allen and Ginter, again, rookie card. Here's a Chrome Sepia. Here's a 72 in action. Again, Heritage. Here's another rookie Heritage. We've got a Bowman. This is not a rookie. And then here's just the regular Chrome rookie. And I think I've got 2 of them. So there you go. Nothing's worth all that much money. And if I were to try to sell them, I would not be able to get top dollar. Even if I just sold them 1 each. And I think this is the key to understanding your collection and whether or not you can get value. When you put together a whole bunch of cards and you're trying to get cash for them, the only people that have cash for collections are dealers. That's the only people that are looking to buy collections. The top end people who have money, they're going to go to a card show. They're not going to find you online. They're going to go to a card show and go to a dealer and see what they can pick up. If you want to sell your collection, my suggestion would be to sign up as a dealer and put your collection out and make a big sign saying selling the whole thing, or, like collection for sale. Like, highlight and promote and market and advertise that you're selling everything. Because then people that go to a show who have money might go, oh, okay. And maybe even put down like what's the value of the entire collection. So selling the whole collection, it's worth $10,000. And then you'll be able to field offers because people know, like, okay, what is the full value? Now let's start to negotiate. Because if you think you can sell a whole collection without comping out your cards, like, you're putting yourself in a deficit, because now you're relying on the other person to comp your cards, and you may not like the way they comp them. And I think this starts to have that conversation. So I've done a react video to Trike Sports, buying a collection from Seattle. He actually went back to the same guy and bought more cards because he did pretty decently on the cards that he bought. Now, again, he bought about $60,000 worth of cards. He spent $40,000. I think he spent too much, but he was able to make back the $40K. I don't know how much he made on the whole end. He probably only made $50,000. So he made $10,000, which is good. But again, see, I thought he paid too much because I didn't think he was going to get much more than $40,000. And I think he only made $50,000 on the deal. Again, the collector said that the value was $75,000, which he was wrong about because Trike only got about $50,000 out of the deal. So if the collection was worth $75,000 but Trike got $50,000, there's too big a gap. So the collector who sold it to Trike was wrong. And that's what hopefully you guys understand, is that what you think your cards are actually worth may not be as accurate as you want. Now, the reason that I created this magazine, all right, the top 25 recession-proof players, was to try to help people who are new to the hobby to understand which of the players that retain their value the most, especially as we go up and down in the market, especially in a recession when things start to go down. And you know most of those players. We're talking Mantle, we're talking Mays, we're talking Clemente, we're talking Koufax, we're talking Nolan Ryan. Those players retain their value through the ups and the downs. Problem is that we have a lot of players in the hobby, and modern players always get hype over older players, which means that new people that get into the hobby only know about the marketing hype. And Fanatics has not even started with their marketing campaigns yet, which means that the hype is only going to get worse over the next couple years. They are going to get the licensing agreement in 2026. That's coming in less than 6 months. So what happens then? And once Fanatics, that means Topps and Bowman, have the licensing agreement, the marketing and the hype is going to get even worse, because they've already promised us that they're going to market the crap out of cards. So the new people that get into the hobby are going to be inundated with marketing from new product. That means older product and more valuable cards are going to get suppressed, which means the value of your cards are probably going to go down, not because they're not worth as much anymore, but because the marketing is going to suppress your cards, which is why I've been saying to everybody that this is now the time to sell your cards, because you're going to get the most value for them right now. From now to the end of the year, again, Fanatics does not have the licensing agreement for football and basketball yet, but they will in the new year. And once that happens, they're going to market the crap out of those cards, which means that no one is going to see anything about older stuff. And you're going to see all the influencers pump the new stuff more than you've seen before. And that's a problem for anybody that has a collection of older stuff. And at this point, older means prior to 2017. So yeah, your Patrick Mahomes rookies cards are going to come down. I know it's crazy. Your Connor Bedard stuff will probably stay within because he's within that last couple of years, but your Connor McDavid stuff might get suppressed. Your Wayne Gretzky stuff might get suppressed. Mantle will always retain, but maybe Clemente comes down, maybe Mays comes down, Jackie Robinson comes down, definitely Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig come down, because they're going to hype the new stuff. So Victor Wembanyama is going to get way more advertising dollars than Michael Jordan. I mean, Wembanyama hasn't won a championship, but he's going to get more attention than Michael Jordan. He's going to get more attention than probably LeBron James. Like, I can't imagine that Fanatics is going to go heavy on LeBron. LeBron's gone. Like, his career is over. Like, is he going to win another championship? I highly doubt it. I mean, how many years does he have left? So Fanatics going to pump the new players. They're going to go after Luka Doncic. They're going to want to go after Wembanyama. They're going to want to go after any of the new superstars, probably Cooper Flagg. Like, they're going to want to go after these new guys that can hype the hobby up, get more sales on the newer wax. That's what Fanatics wants to sell, newer wax. They don't care about older players. So they want to hype up the new product, and that means that your cards and your collection might be in trouble. So what do? How do you sell your collection? Do you, like you said, the question is there any way to make your collection more valuable to someone who is trying to buy it? And to be quite honest, I don't think there really is a way. I think if you're diversified, I think your overall collection is good. And I think the larger you make your collection, the worse off you are in selling it. I think the bigger the collection, the harder it is to sell. So really stick to maybe limiting your collection to 100 players or 200 players or 300 players or cards, because at that point it's manageable. And if you want to sell it, any dealer that's going to come is going to be like, oh, I just have to comp out 300 cards. Okay, I can do that in an afternoon. When you have thousands and thousands of cards, and if anybody is watching the Chasing Cardboard channel, you see this, that Ty is going to these people's homes and their entire basement is filled. They have a storage unit filled of cards, and I mean, to be quite honest with you, Ty's looking, going, oh my God, like, what am I gonna, how do I even attack this hoard? Because that's what it is. It's a hoard. Now again, a hoard doesn't mean that it doesn't have any value. A hoard just means it's unmanageable. It's unwieldy. It's unreasonable. And that's what I had. For anybody that's a subscriber, you know that I started with 8 million cards back in 1991. That's how many I had accumulated as a teenage sports card dealer, again, from the age of 13 to 18. So by 1991, I had 8 million cards. It was all throughout my parents' basement, my parents' garage, and I had 2 storage units as well filled with baseball cards. As well as sealed cases, sealed products, sealed cellos. I mean, I have so much stuff. Like here's some sealed stuff that I have. I mean, we got ticket stubs. you know, I got ticket stubs, which are probably the thing that I like to collect the most. But we've got sealed product. That's an Eric Dickerson rookie, and there's a Greg Jeffries rookie. Those two are in my PC, and I'm selling way more cellos and wax. Mojo Sports just went to a card shop where they had the largest selection of autographed baseballs. Well, guess what? I just sold 1,000 autographed baseballs last year to a dealer. And the reason that I sold them to a dealer is because he took all of them. He took all 1,000 balls because he had PSA representatives coming to his shop and he had nothing to give them to basically authenticate. And he was like, well, it kills two birds with one stone. And if we can make out a good deal, I'll do this with you. And we did. We made a great deal. I got cash for the balls. I didn't have to sell them anymore. Obviously, I know they would get authenticated, which is why the dealer was like, yeah, I'll do this deal. Because he could tell I had a whole box, just like Mojo Sports showed you in the back of that shop, the boxes of all the baseballs in the little, basically it's one of these boxes and the balls are in this box. This one is, no, this one is open. So I don't think this one's signed. But basically this is how it was, you know. So the ball is in the tissue paper and it's signed by somebody. This is a blank ball, but as you can see, okay, so this is a blank ball, but this one, you know, this one's a little discolored because, you know, I didn't keep it. It wasn't signed, so I didn't keep it as nice as the other ones. The other baseballs that were signed were by Reggie Jackson, by Nolan Ryan, by Pete Rose, by Andre Dawson, by all other Hall of Famers, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron. Like, I mean, I had so many Hall of Famers. Again, 1,000 autographed baseballs. I had plenty of dealers giving me offers, but they tried to lowball me. They were like, well, but I only want these. I only want the Jacksons. And I'm like, no, I'm selling them all. Like, if you're going to buy them, you're a dealer. I'm selling them all. So you got to make an offer on all of them. And finally, a dealer said, fine, I'll give you X for all the balls, which again was a decent offer for me because now I don't have to sell 1,000 autographed baseballs. I'm not a dealer. I don't want to be a dealer. I don't want to be in a shop. I just want to be a collector. I just want to get to, let me enjoy the cards. That's all I want to do. So for you, if you're collecting cards, so if you're collecting a specific player, like if you're collecting all of these Pete Alonso cards, let's say you're collecting Justin Jefferson cards, or let's say you're collecting Pete Rose cards, or let's say you're collecting, Cal Raleigh cards. So you got all the patch autos, the RPAs, and you're like, and I got the refractors, and I got the X-fractor, and the logo fractor, and you have all of these in PSA 10s. And let's say you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on all of these cards, and you're like, well, my collection is worth, because I spent $15,000, my collection is worth at least $15,000. And that's wrong. What you paid for the cards does not mean that's what it's worth anymore. That's just not the way it works. You have to actually comp out your cards based on what they're worth today, which is really what will someone pay for the card. And there's a range. So when people make comments on my channel, well, the card's only worth what someone will pay for it. Well, that's semi-true, but what someone will pay for it is based on what the market says it's worth, because no one really pays what they want to pay. Like for me, I see plenty of cards that are not worth what people are trying to sell them for. But it doesn't matter. What I want to pay for it, the person's never going to take because they don't want to sell the cards. And that's what you have to make, like you have to do that in your mind. If you're really trying to evaluate what your collection is worth, you have to think about, well, do I really want to sell it? Ken Kendricks, who's the owner or the managing partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks, he has the largest, most valuable collection in the world. And hopefully I'm going to be able to negotiate being able to see that collection and bring that collection to you guys. He has done it on PSA's channel, and he's also done it on Jeff Wilson's channel. The problem is that he wants to say that his Mantle 52 PSA 10 is worth $30 to $40 million. The problem is that card is never sold for that amount. So he can say he thinks it's worth whatever he wants to think, but until someone actually puts money down on paper, the card's not worth that. And I think, based on the last sale of the MJ Kobe logo man, I don't think the 52 Mantle is worth more than $25 million. I just don't see it. I don't see why someone would pay more than $25 million for that card. It just makes no sense. Like you'd basically just be trying to drive up the price. And at that point, everyone who has money knows, well, you just drove up the price. It's not really worth that. Like there's no record, there's no way to tether it to the market to go, well, it is worth 30 million. No, it's not. It's only worth 30 million because Ken Kendrick wants it to be worth 30 million, and probably his insurance company wants it to be worth 30 million because they charge him a premium for insurance on the card at 30. So they can charge him a higher premium if they say it's worth 30 million. So there's an incentive to inflate the value at that point. But if he puts it to auction, will it sell for 30 million or will it sell for less? And I'm just telling you, I don't see it selling for 30 million. I don't see it selling for more than 25. And to be quite honest, I really think it's going to be closer to 20. Again, based on the fact that the SGC 9.5 sold for 12.6 and the MJ Kobe logo man just sold for 12.9 million. Now again, Mr. Wonderful bid up that card. So he did prop that card up. So it's probably not worth 12.9 million. It's probably worth maybe 11 or 12. Like it's definitely not worth 12.9. It's definitely not the most expensive card in the hobby, even though it sold for the most money ever than any other card. And that's the piece. If that's the most expensive card in the hobby, well, what card is better than that? I mean, that's a pretty amazing card. It's a dual logo man autograph from MJ and Kobe's gone. So, I mean, that's a pretty sick card. So if that's the most expensive card, well, then what could beat it? There's a USA Olympic card, which has got, basically Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Steph Curry on it. I mean, those are three, signatures. There's no patches. So, I mean, is that the problem with that card? So is that card worth $1 million now? I mean, it's hard to say because it's got no patches. It's just autographs. This was a dual logo man plus autos, and Kobe's no longer with us. There's a reason for that card to go for more than $1 million and a reason for it to drive up past 10 million. But there's no reason for any other card to do that. So, I mean, at what point, and again, there's autographs all over for all of these players. So the autographs are not rare either. Like, how many LeBron James autos are there? How many Steph Curry autos are there? How many Kevin Durant autos are there? There's a ton of autographs for all these players. And so rarity and scarcity is no longer there. And that's what people need to start to understand, is the rarity is gone. Even one-to-ones are not really rare. The debut patch is a rare card because there's only one debut patch. That's the actual real debut patch from their first game in the majors. That's kind of a big deal. That's a good innovation that Fanatics and Topps put into the hobby because that is real rarity. There's only one, therefore it is what it is. The problem is all these other cards and all these other patches, they're not rare. And so that's the piece, is what do you do when you have so many not rare cards? Now, I know I'm long-winded here, I understand, and hopefully I appreciate you guys following with me, but it really comes down to time. Like, how much time do you have to sell your collection? How much time? If you have 10 years to sell your collection, then I would sell it off piece by piece because you're going to get the most value by doing that. If you don't have any time, then I think that you have to go to a dealer and you have to get a full, basically, offer for everything. And when you do that, you're going to give up a lot of stuff for free. It's just the way it is. You're going to give up a lot of stuff for free. I am selling part of my collection to a dealer. I'm trying to put together this deal. It's taken a few weeks because scheduling, and again, this is also the problem. Time is the issue. I wanted to sell this stuff 2 weeks ago, and because of scheduling, because of the dealer's work schedule, and something happened in their life, and stuff happens, and you can't get these deals done. It's the time starts ticking away. And so I'm trying to sell this. Now, in the time that we haven't sold it, the fact is the value has gone up. As I've said to you on this channel, if you're subscribed, then you know I've said this market is hot and stuff is going up and will continue to go up through the holidays. Like, we are in an upward trend. I think after that, we have to reconsider and look, are we going to have a pullback? Are things going to come back down? And I honestly think everything's going to come back down except for modern, like the brand new stuff, because the marketing is going to drive only the new stuff, the 2026 product, and it's going to suppress everything else to a point where everyone's going to get really depressed because they're going to be like, what happened to my 2023 cards? What happened to my 2022 cards? Like, what is going on here? Why is no one focused on older stuff? Why is everyone focused on new? And it's because of the marketing hype. That's what's going to happen. And so what I was trying to sell was a collection, or a lot, I guess, that was worth around $5,800 to $6,000. It's now worth closer to $6,500, $6,600. Again, it's gone up several $100s in the last couple weeks. Now, that works in my favor because I was still trying to give a deal to the dealer. I was selling it off of that 5,500 number, and I'm still trying to sell off that 5,500 number, even though the collection or the lot is worth now $500 more. So the dealer's actually going to get a better deal because we've waited enough time that all the stuff has gone up in value. Again, hopefully that works in my favor, that I can make a deal very quickly because I'm still looking for the number off the original value. I haven't changed my mindset. I know it's worth $500 more, but that's fine. That's your advantage as a dealer. You need to make this deal, and you need to start selling stuff now so you get your money back. And that's the other thing, is if you're going to look to make deals and you want to sell cards, you need to make deals quicker so that you can turn them around and sell them just as fast in this hot market. Don't buy cards with the hope of making more money and selling them in 2026. Do not do that. If you're watching this channel, I'm giving you real advice based on my 40 years in this hobby, and I'm telling you right now, you have to act quickly in this market. You have to move fast. So if you're trying to sell your collection, again, if you have that Pete Alonso stuff, I don't know how many cards you have. Put down how many cards there are. Are you talking about 100 cards? Are you talking about 1,000 cards? And what's the approximate value? Personally, what I would say is, think about trying to keep 25. Like, what are your 25 best Pete Alonso cards? And that's it. Those are the ones you care about the most, and keep them in your PC. Figure out a way to display them, and just that's your PC. And then sell everything off. And the fact is, just do the comps and figure out what do you think they're worth. And if you want to get the most value, sell each one individually. That's it. You're going to be able to get 75 to 85% of comps on each one individually, so you might as well do that. The minute you start putting cards together, you're going to have to take more of a discount because cash is king. And if somebody's going to give you, like, let's say you have 3 Pete Alonso cards that are worth $1,000, somebody might give you like $600 for all 3 of them. And to be quite honest, I would take that, because how much time would it take you to sell 3 cards? Now, if they're really hot cards, then just sell them individually. Put them up on eBay and sell them and get the most amount of money that you can for each of them. And you might be able to get like $700 or $750 out of those 3 cards in total. But remember, that means that you have to sell all 3 instead of selling all 3 in one deal and just getting $600 and you're done. You got to sell each one of them, who knows how long that will take, just to make that little extra money. Now, I know you might be like, well, but it's a little extra money. Yeah, but time is worth more than the cash. Time is worth more than the cash, unless you don't care about the time. And if that's the case, there's a lot of people that are watching my channel that do not care about the time. They do not care. They own the cards. They're never going to sell them. Therefore, time doesn't matter to them. They're in a buying mode, and selling is not something they're going to do. They're going to give their cards to someone else and let them worry about selling them. And what I'm saying to hopefully my audience is, don't do that in a hoard. If you're going to give your cards to someone, make it manageable. Seriously, that's why the top 25 recession-proof players is a good way to think. Like, think about, like, maybe I only have like 300 cards, and when you give them to someone, like you bequeath them in your will, somebody doesn't get them and goes, oh my God, I got to deal with all this junk. Because it's not their collection, it was your collection. The only person that really cares about the cards is you. And that's hopefully the message that you're hearing here, is the only person that really cares about the cards is you. No one else cares about your collection. They might care about specific players and specific cards, and they might see your collection and be like, oh, I want that card. Again, then you can consider selling that card. But if you're creating a PC, again, this is my Mets bin. Okay, so this is my Mets bin. I got a whole bunch of cards in here, as you can see. Okay, so that's it. But nobody cares about my Mets collection. Like, is this going to make somebody go, ooh, ah? No, nobody's going ooh and ah over my Mets collection. The only person that cares about my Mets collection is me. You know, so in terms of Nolan Ryan's, I'm collecting only the years that Ryan is in a Mets uniform. So I've got his rookie, and here is the 69, and I just need the 70 because I already have the 71. So, but I need the 70. That's the only one that I don't have, is the Nolan Ryan 70. But I have 68, 69, and 71. I mean, that's the point, is you have to decide what you want to collect. And then when you go to sell it, it's not about building like, well, I should have, if I get it to $10,000, that's going to be better. No, it's all about the value. The reason that people like Ty want to buy collections is because he sees big name cards. And so if that's what you want to go after, that's what's going to attract the dealers. But then all the other stuff they don't care about. They don't want it. They don't want to sell it. They don't want to deal with the time. They don't want to deal with the sorting. They don't want to do it. They only want to do big name cards. And that's sort of what people need to be aware of in the hobby, is that most other people, the people who do the business of cards, don't care about the cards. It is what it is. I'm sorry that bursts a lot of people's bubbles. Like, Jeff Wilson doesn't care about cards. He's running a business. He needs to sell whatever he can sell. So he cares about what you care about. That's it. He just wants your money. He could care less about the cards. And the only reason he buys big name cards is because he wants to get clicks. He wants to get views. And you click on his because you don't have those cards and you're not willing to spend that kind of money on the cards. Guess what? He's overspent on practically every single card. So would you spend the same amount of money that he has on cards? Not even close. And that's the point. So whatever you bought, I'm sure that you bought closer to what the card was worth, unless you bought between 2019 and 2021 and you know you overpaid for cards. We all did. None of us can escape that. But the thing is, did you have a ceiling where you're like, well, I'm not spending more than X for any card? And if you did that, you actually rode the whole pandemic boom without losing a lot of money. I had a limit. I would not spend more than $1,000 on any one card. And so when all these cards went through the roof, they went out of my price range. And I'm like, I'm just not spending any money on them. And then as everything starts to come down, well, now they're more reasonable. During the pandemic, there was no way that I could even consider getting a Michael Jordan rookie card, the 1986 rookie. Like, there was no way that I could get it. All the cards went way beyond my budget. I was like, this is nuts. And a lot of cards went way beyond my budget. I couldn't get a Gehrig, I couldn't get a Ruth, I couldn't get Mantles, I couldn't get Mays, I couldn't get Robinsons, I couldn't get anything because things went through past my budget. One of the biggest cards that I bought was a 55 Jackie Robinson, which I only paid $300 for. What's the card worth now? It was raw at the time, and it's worth $500 right now. So that card has gone up, and I bought it during the pandemic because somebody was like, well, nobody wants vintage because everything in the pandemic was all about modern, and vintage started to get depressed. And so I was like, wow, okay. But it was under my threshold. Buying a 55 Jackie Robinson in pretty good condition, if I got it graded, it would probably get like a 4 or a 5, which means the card's worth like $1,000, and I paid $300. Again, the point being is that you have to be disciplined. If you're selling your cards, it's about time. If you're buying cards, it's about discipline. Those are the two factors in the hobby. If you do that, you won't get screwed. I don't know if I answered the question. I hope that I did, but if not, please put more questions down. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. That's all that we have. If you're not subscribed, I will see you tomorrow.